It's happening. We're going to be doing this. Well, I'm going to be doing this, and hopefully you'll come along for the journey. At the beginning of 2024, I said that I would start a YouTube channel to try and focus myself on creating more things in the knitting and crocheting and yarn sphere for my personal stuff. If those of you who don't know me or who are new here, I am Susan. I live in southeast Queensland on an island off the north of Brisbane, and I am a indie yarn dyer. I own the business Ashenique Designs. I've been dyeing yarn for around 4 years, or a little bit over 4 years, and running this business for that period of time. And as it's gotten busier and busier in the business, which is amazing, I have noticed that my personal crafting, knitting, crocheting, yarn adventures have petered off because I have focused more on the business side, creating samples out of my own yarns that I dye, and knitting for sock clubs and all those fun things, which is fantastic. I mean, I've not stopped knitting. It's more that I have accumulated a large amount of stash that is either commercial or other dyers, and I've not used it. And New Year ticked over and I was basically saying, right, focus. So today, it's the 2nd of January 2025. I pulled out everything I could find that belongs to my personal stash. It's quite daunting, not gonna lie. I'm surrounded by yarn. When you buy stuff and you put it away and you're like, right, that's for a project, I know what I'm going to do with that, and put it away when I get a chance, I find that it just lives in a cupboard and you don't realize how much you're accumulating. And it lives in multiple cupboards and baskets, and I've got like a Kallax system that has the baskets, and there's stuff in there that I bought years ago because I used to make little amigurumis, and so I wanted beautiful cotton yarns for it. So when we go through my stash, which is what I'm going to be doing today, please don't shame me. We all have our own amount of yarn and what works for us. And I think that this is not intended as a space for, oh my goodness, you'll never knit all that, or doesn't that stress you out? How can you have so much yarn? I'm a yarn dyer. I have a lot of yarn. I have a lot of yarn around me all the time. So it doesn't stress me out from that point of view. But what it does do is indicate to me that I need to focus a little bit on knitting other yarns other than my own as well. So come along for the journey. Today is going to be not aesthetically beautiful. It's not going to, like when you see, I'm going to pan out in a minute and you'll see all the buckets and crates of yarn that I have found from around all different places in the house. Like I had stuff next to my knitting chair and things in my office area and massive tubs in the cupboard, and yeah. So we're going to sort through it and see what I have. When I decided to start this YouTube channel, I thought, what do I need to do to get my head in the game? And the first thing that occurred to me is that I actually need to know what's in my stash. When you dye yarn for a living, you're surrounded by yarn 24/7. So you don't actually get triggered or stressed out by lots and lots of yarn around you. And so when I purchase yarn, because I am only human, when I purchase yarn, add to cart, check out, and it arrives, I just go, all right, and I put it somewhere and I go, right, I know what I'm going to do with that, or I'll think about that later. It's beautiful, lovely. I've had the endorphin hit, all the things that we do. So as you can imagine, when I pulled out all of my yarn from this is personal yarn, not business yarn, all of my yarn from all of the places that I have had it stashed and not hidden. My husband is fully aware of my problem, or passion, my passion. And put it on the floor in here, which is my classes as my like craft room, making room. This is where I make things for business, like I sew and I make stitch markers and I prep yarn and everything. So this is like the industrial making room, and then I have another room which is the office where I store all the yarn and I do all the paperwork and shipping and everything in there. So when I brought everything of my personal stash into the making room, my daughter was like walking past and she said to me, "Oh my God, Mum, you have a problem." And I'm like, it's not a problem. Yes, I probably will never ever knit all of it, but I know for a fact that in my stash there is a combination of things. So we're going to go through that. It's not going to go, look here, it's not going to be one of those. I'm going to time lapse and sort everything into categories, and then we'll go through and I'll show you kind of what I have and what I'm working with for the next 20 years. I was going to say 12 months. 20 years plus. I might get buried with some of it. Yeah. And then, yeah, we'll see what we're working with. I may put some stuff aside to donate/gift. There may even be a destash at some time, but I don't feel the need to destash urgently because I have curated this yarn. There's clearly a reason why I've purchased it. So either I've loved it, or I've wanted to support a friend, or I've seen it and been enabled by someone else and gone, you know, I'm having that. So yeah, I don't feel the need to like purge it, but I do feel the need to categorize it. So that's what my plan is for today. And when I say today, like today on the channel, this may take me a few days. There is a lot of yarn, which I will show you in a minute. So category wise, I think that what I'm going to do is categorize it as my own yarn. So I have yarn that I've set aside from when I've dyed that may not be perfect. So I won't put that in the shop for like normal sale. If it's got, when I say not perfect, it may be that the yarn skein, when I'm looking through it and twisting it, I've seen there's like a join in the yarn, whereas I personally think, well, I can use that for a sample. I'm not going to send that out to a customer. If one slips through, obviously that's kind of out of my control, but I tend to have a really good look through things. So I would put that aside for a sample knit. So there's nothing wrong with the yarn. It's just that I think, well, I can knit a sample with that. So there's going to be personal stash of Ash and Eve design yarn. Some of it may have like a blip where a speckle from, you know, another tray has flicked over onto the yarn and it doesn't belong there. And so I know that when I knit it, I can just cut that out for a sample and join. I'm not worried about it. So yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with what I class as, they're not even seconds. They're just, yeah, sample. I'm going to call them sample seconds. So there's a bit of that. Then there is there's lots of leftover part skeins of knits that I've already knit. So that will be another category. And when I say part skeins, it's not like 20 grams. They're more than half skeins, so more than 50 grams. So there's going to be that component of a category. And I think that will probably get put aside and sorted into some sort of bigger project, whether it be, I'm thinking a habitation throw. I've been watching with Advent just very, very recently, you know, been around. There's been some beautiful knits happening with Advent calendars, and I saw the habitation throw from Curious Handmade, which is Helen Stewart, on a couple of profiles on Instagram again. And when it first came out, I bought the pattern. So I've had it in my library on Ravelry for a very long time. I think it's like, I'm going to say 3 years old. Don't quote me on that though, because it's probably not accurate. So yeah, I'm thinking that what I'll do is all my little bits of hand dyed yarn, I'm going to, when I say little bits, like more than 20 grams, I'm going to put in a pile and then sort into sort of color families and maybe make a beautiful blended habitation throw. So that's a future project that's, I know, is probably going to come out of this stash organization. Then I'm going to have commercial yarn. So there's a couple of categories within commercial yarn. So there'll be commercial yarn that I've purchased with an intent of a sweater, knit, or a garment. So that will get set aside. But what I want to do once I've done my sorting is actually, I have no intention of putting all this in Ravelry. It would just take me too long. Like, I've got yarn to dye. I'm not doing that. But what I will do is maybe with a notebook, make a note of my sweater quantities and start looking for some patterns to knit with them. Because I'm a larger size girl. She says sitting here with a grey hair and wrinkles. A lady. I'm a larger size. I wear a sorry, that was the microphone. I'll get used to that. I wear a standard size, if you're in Australia, Target, size 18, not in the curve range, so not in the plus size range, in the standard, what I call front of the store clothing range. And when I say an 18, like not a slim fit 18 by any measure of the things. So I have got a decent sized chest. I will do my measurements, so for future episodes of the Instagram, so used to doing lives, future episodes of YouTube, I can refer to my chest measurement, because most patterns for sweaters go off your chest or your bust measurement, and I'll make a note of it in both inches and centimeters, because in Australia we use centimeters. I know that the US and a few other countries use inches for when they talk about patterns and knitting and stuff. So yeah, I will do that measurement. But from the last sweater that I knit, I'm usually a size 4 or 5, depending on how much ease. So that gives you an idea. I'm a bigger lady, and I've gone through menopause. I'm in that age bracket. I'm 50. So not only my chest, but my tummy, we've got all that going on. So yeah, for sweater quantities, I'm usually looking at sort of a larger amount of yarn. So I'll make a note of that when I'm doing my commercial stuff. All that to be said. And then within the commercial stuff, because commercial yarn that I have, I also am an avid thrifter. I loved going thrift shopping. I don't thrift clothing so much. I'm not that kind of thrifter. I call it saving from landfill. That's what I do. So I will, sorry, I'm gonna itch on my nose. The first thing I will do whenever I go into any thrift shop is I will look, and when I say thrift shop, in Australia we call them op shops, so like op is short for opportunity, I think. So whenever I go into an op shop, I will go straight to the craft section and check the knitting needles, because I love vintage knitting needles. I don't knit with them. I purely save them from landfill. It is an aesthetic thing that I like, and I just feel, I even have broken ones in a separate tub that I keep, because I don't even want them going in landfill. And it's a weird thing. I understand that's a weird thing. I understand that is a weird thing. But they're beautiful to me, and I think microplastics in the environment, which, like, why? And B, they're so pretty. Why would you throw them away? And one day I will find a use for the broken ones too. But for the most part, I'll show you. I've got them just here. For the most part, it's purely a collection thing. So I am addicted to. I've got to get used to this focusing thing. Addicted to these beautiful tortoiseshell needles. They are not real tortoiseshell, they're faux, obviously. Well, I say obviously, not a lot of people, I'm assuming not everyone knows that they're faux. They're made from vintage plastic, which is like a Bakelite, I think. I've done a little bit of research into it. Like I say, it's all about aesthetic for me. It's not really about anything else. I just think they're beautiful. They look amazing, and and I know I've got a lot. Like, it's not greed. it is literally saving them from landfill because they're very brittle. When you see them in a thrift store, if you are going to buy them with the intent of working with them, bend them a little bit, because if they snap, they're not going to hold your knitting. But yeah, so it's purely it's just an obsession, really. I think they're gorgeous. My sister is Wendy, and she has Keep Your Knit Together bags. So I don't know, like if you're new and you don't know, we're sisters. She makes beautiful project bags, and she also loves vintage knitting needles. We don't collect the same type because that could be a problem. We collect for each other, but she loves these. These are, I've only got one pair because I've sent the rest to her. They're also by Payton's, and they're like a blush pink, peachy pink, and these are Bakelite. So these are from the 50s. They got like little black bits on the end. So she collects those. So anytime I see them, I will grab them for her. Yeah, knitting needles. I don't know how I got onto that. Thrift stores. That's how I got onto it. So yeah, I will have a category for thrifted yarn. So not only do I look at the needles and notions, there's never very many notions. Every now and then I find a vintage gauge, like needle gauge. But yeah, I will have a category that will have thrifted yarn. When I get thrifted yarn, it is not, I'm quite particular about what I grab. So it's not about just getting cheap yarn. There's not even usually an intent to use it. It is more about beautiful yarn that is wool content or mohair or cashmere. Sometimes you get a cashmere one that is vintage, tends to have vintage labels from 60s, 70s. A lot of them are the ones that were probably in your nana's stash when she knit, and you know, they've just been cleared out by family. And there's some beautiful yarn, and usually it's just 1 or 2 balls, so there's never a sweater. Well, I have found one sweater quantity. It's black, but it's black Payton's, or could be, yeah, it was Payton's yarn, and it's a black pure wool. Couple of tips. I'll give you a couple of tips. If you're thrifting yarn, or if you want to thinking about thrifting yarn, 2 things that I do before I even consider bringing it home. The first one is, if it's in a plastic bag, put a little hole in the plastic bag and give it a good like puff to sniff it. If it smells like mothballs or anything gross, leave it. Like cigarettes, whatever, just leave it. Doesn't matter how much you wash that, it's going to have that smell. And who has time to wash commercial yarn before you knit it? So you don't want to be knitting with that. If it's high-end yarn and it's got a smell, you might want to take the time to wind it off onto it and make a skein and wash it and then dry it and then recake it. I fully get that. I personally don't have the time to do that. So that's my first thing. I always give it a good sniff. And then secondly, if it's able to be, like if you can pull the yarn out of a little hole in the bag, because I know that op shops bag them up and they try and keep it all neat and tidy, pull it out and then just give like a snap test. If it snaps and it's not a yarn that's like lightly twisted that you expect to snap, just leave it, because that is going to be a pain to try and knit with. I bought a beautiful cone of yarn and I wound off. It was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous cone of yarn. I think it had cashmere in it. It was just stunning. It was this rich, like a rust color. It was beautiful. I think it was designed originally for, you know, back in the 70s, machine knitting was a big thing. I think it was designed for machine knitting, but it was a good gauge and I thought, right, I'm going to get it. When I got it home and I started winding it off, like I wound it off to cake up, every time I was winding it, it would snap, and I was like, okay, well maybe it's just the first part of the, you know, like it might have been sun damaged or whatever, but I just kept doing it, and I got to the point where I was, it wasn't something I could save. And I mean, it's not, the dollar value is not an issue. Things are generally very, very reasonable. Most balls of yarn in a thrift shop are between $1 and $2, so you can't complain, particularly if you're looking at those beautiful high-end fibers. So yeah, that's the other category in my commercial yarns. They will be vintage, generally luxury yarns. And then I guess there will be one more category, which will be other indie dyer, hand-dyed yarn. And I have a bit of that. I'm a sucker for self-striping. I can't help myself. If someone does self-striping yarn, because I dye yarn myself and I do self-striping, I know the work that goes into it. And so, yeah, I can't help myself. I've got a lot. That being said, let's get into it. Okay, so here's what we're working with. Please do not judge the state of the room. Like I said, I just pulled everything out. We have got a ton of tubs. I also have these Kallax tubs full of commercial yarns, which I will go through. There's more yarns there. We are looking at pom-poms as well. In the back here I have got more yarns. This is sort of a standard kid-size bedroom, so you can see the quantity of yarn that we are dealing with. That's my basket that usually lives next to my chair. I also have a rack here that is full of beautiful self-striping. What my plan is to get all of this into that. So let's do it. Okay, we're going to do this again. I just got around the whole table of yarn and realized that I wasn't recording. Just check my microphone is working. It is. Okay, let's do take 2, which is actually take 3 because my microphone died the first time and only had audio for like half the table. So what I've done, I'll step back here. I have put out all my Bendigo Woolen Mills yarn and my commercial sock yarns that I have purchased or that I have in my stash to go through. So it's kind of like a category at this point. So the first lot that I'll show you, because as I've mentioned, I am a sucker for a self-striping, and pre-Christmas, this is new, which is, I have no business buying yarn, but it's new. Pre-Christmas, Instagram enabled me, and Knitpicks had an advert saying that their Felici was back in stock, and that Christmas one there was the one they had up on the advert, and I was like, yes please. For one, it's not your stock standard Christmas red, it's kind of a tomatoey orangey red, which I thought was so cute, and it had grey in the green, and I'm like, right, Christmas socks, that's what I'm doing. But when you're buying and getting it shipped from the US, you're not just going to buy 2 skeins of yarn. So I thought, right, Felici's hardly ever in stock. I'm going to get some. So I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so 20 balls, but 10 colours of the Felici self-striping. And I think that will give me, because I knew I already had 2 lots of commercial self-striping, my plan is to do 1 sock project a month in self-striping. Like, it's a grand plan because, you know, I'm busy, but I need, this is what this YouTube's about, right? Focus. So that was my plan. Don't get any more than 12 because that's 1 a month. So this is my plan. That one will be keeping for December. I'm going to assume that one over there will be for February. There is a sort of Halloweeny one there, which will be October. So yeah, fun. I bought intention. There was definitely intention with that purchase. Moving down to this on the stark contrast, this is so soft. This is really quite rustic. It is from a store in Australia called Spotlight, which is a big box store if you're not from Australia, which is equivalent to like US Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, that sort of feel. Like, it's probably not as big as those, but it's got commercial affordable yarn. So I bought this with the intention, it actually shows you, like, it comes with 2 balls already, and it shows you what they'll knit up like, with the intention to make some work socks for my husband. I started knitting them by hand and then was like, forget this. If you have a look at the twist, see how loose the twist is? It splits like nobody's business.
So that is going to go through my Erlbacher. I have a Erlbacher Gearhart Speedster hand cranking sock machine. So I will run that through, and the other 3 lots of pairs that I have, exactly the same for my husband. Again, bought with intention in the sale basket. I think they were $2, and I thought, well, you can't go past that. So that he has some work socks. Oops, sorry about that finger. That was fun. Then moving on to Bendigo Woolen Mills. This is their multicolored sock yarn. If you haven't been over to Bendigo Woolen Mills, I think it's just.com at the end. They have this beautiful, beautiful sock yarn, and it's a color changing, they call it multicolored sock yarn, and I feel like it would be a great substitute for something like Spin Cycle. And that was the intention when I bought this, that I would use it as a substitute yarn for patterns that called for Spin Cycle, because for Australians, once you factor in your exchange rate and shipping, like it's already a luxury price bracket yarn, it becomes quite expensive. So I've got quite a bit of the 4-ply. I've already done one sweater. This is the leftover, so you can see it doesn't sort of blend. It's actual different colors, which is lovely. And I used that for a yoke on a Jen Steingas pattern. They also do an 8-ply or a DK weight, and it's called Prism. It's 100% pure wool, and it is this like barber poled color changing yarn. It's stunning. So I bought those. I really like blue, you can probably tell, with the intention of color work in yokes in a sweater. Moving on to the next Bendigo yarn that I have, which is the Galaxy. This one is 50% wool, 50% bamboo, and it is a 4-ply, even though when you look at it, it looks like a DK. It's very plump. It's super, super soft. It's got like a sheen. The bamboo gives it a sheen, and the drape is exquisite. So the intention was main color and then maybe color work or striping or something. So that's those. I also have this, which is called Mosaic. It's also a Bendigo. It's 100% wool, and it's heathered. I loved this yarn. So it's basically got 2 colors of yarn blended together. It's not super soft. It's a toothier feel, and it's 100% wool. I feel like it would felt if you put it in the washing machine. Even though it says you can, I would hand wash this one personally. But yeah, so I got the carbon, and I also got Indigo Sunset. Now, Indigo looked navy on the website, but when you look at the heathering, it's got like this, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, sort of like pink, reddy heathering through the blue, which throws it purple. It looks really good in real life. I'm not necessarily a purple person. Saying that, I do have more purple there that was gifted to me. But I think it'll be good because it throws a little bit purple, but not amazing amount. I have a cone of Holstgarn. Their cotton blend. I can't even remember what it's called. That was gifted to me as well in a D-stash. And then this lovely box of goodies, which obviously I've already rifled through because this is take 2. This was from the dollar bins or the clearance bins in Spotlight. And it is a 72% cotton, 28% wool. And it's a chainette, can I get it to focus? It's a chainette construction. So basically the cotton on the outside is like stocking stitched I-cordy chainette, and then they blow in the yarn, the wool component inside of it, and it makes this amazingly squishy, beautiful bloom. I don't know if I'm going to get you to see the bloom. Yarn that is cool, as in not hot to wear, got great structure. It's not super like cotton. It's got that cotton structure. It's quite firm. So when I spotted it, I had the intention, I've gone a lot of neutrals, I had the intention of making amigurumis with it, and I have done, and they've made exquisite amigurumis. I've also made a love note with it. And the love note came out beautiful. Once it washed, it blooms up this beautiful, like fluffy, almost looks like it's been held with mohair. It is a lovely yarn. So if you ever see it, like it was obviously Enderline. I don't know if they still stock it. I don't look in the aisles at Spotlight. I only check out the bargain bins. But yeah, I would recommend it. Like, I think I paid 50 cents a ball, maybe $1. But I would recommend it, definitely, for a very budget-friendly, really nice yarn. Then the other yarn I picked up from the clearance bins, and these were 50 cents a ball, and I got enough for a sweater quantity, believe it or not. This is a 4-ply. It has cashmere in it. So it's got 35% polyamide, 30% viscose, 30% wool, and 5% cashmere. And you can feel the cashmere. I'm not going to lie, it doesn't feel super soft when you're knitting it, but as soon as you wash it, it softens up like no one's business. My daughter knit socks in it, and I've knit socks in it as well. We thought as soon as it had the polyamide in it, we'd give it a go. The socks have held up beautifully. In fact, they've almost felted a little bit, so they are the softest, most snuggly socks. Definitely recommend buying that. In fact, I have enough in different colours. I bought everything they had in set dye lots, so whatever the most they had in a specific dye lot, I bought in 4 colours. There's like a heathered blue one, and then the pink, and this sort of denim-y blue, which I love, with the intention of making a sweater. So I have enough of the main blue for just a plain sweater, but yeah, I thought with some colour work it would look cute. So that is that. Always check the bargain bins at Spotlight. Sometimes you get some amazing yarn. This Mondial Andy's yarn, also in the bargain box, $2 a ball. They didn't have a lot, but I got 2 different colours. Again, I was making amigurumis at the time, and I thought the browns would be amazing. No, I didn't read I was just looking for colour at that point. I didn't read the what it was made of. And Andy wool is 100% superfine alpaca. It is so soft, and the drape is exquisite, but it is no good for amigurumis. But it will make a beautiful beanie, and my husband's already eyeing that off. So this one was, like I said, I don't do purple, but this one was gifted to me. It has got, like, I don't know if you can see it. There's like a stellina or something in it. I don't know. It's got a shimmer. It doesn't say that it has stellina in it on the thing, but there's definitely a sparkle in it. So it's 69% wool and 11% cashmere. It is really, really, really soft. The reason it's sitting with the Andy's one is because the softness is fairly similar, and the ply is fairly similar, and the gauge when you knit it is similar. So it may end up being something together. But I have 4 balls of that, so 200 grams and a half component. And again, this one was a gift out of a D-stash from a knitting group. Don't usually do purple, and I may end up dyeing it or over dyeing it, because I think it would look amazing. Maybe just over dye it with grey, like deepen it down. It would look really nice. Still on the Bendigo yarn. This one is the luxury Bendigo wool, which is 100% wool. It says wool machine wash, but on their website it does say hand wash, so I would hand wash it. I bought 3 colours in Ghost, 3 200 balls in Ghost, Slate, 2 in the Frost, and 1 in the Black, with the intention of doing a monochromatic colour work a jumper, probably another of the Jen Starngas ones, because I really love her colour work. I think it's simple and understated and beautiful, but I'm not sure. Obviously it would have to be 4-ply. The reason, and I can hear you probably all thinking, oh my gosh, so much 4-ply. it's to do with the climate I live in. So I knit a lot of 4-ply and a lot of plant-based yarns because of the heat. I have some random, actually I think I picked these up. They should be with the thrifted yarns. I think I picked them up in the thrift store, but you can spot Bendigo a mile away, even in the thrift store. Yarns that are just blanketing with those. And then finally, this is a sock yarn that I found when I went to Bendigo Woolen Mills in person during the Australian Sheep Show back in July. I'd never seen it before, and I just really like the colours. It's sort of heathered. It's not as soft as Felici or hand-dyed yarn, but I think it's going to make an amazing pair of socks. So I got 4 different colours there, clearly with my husband in mind, because he likes his socks for work to be, socks. So that is my Felici, or my knit picks, and my Bendigo. Yeah, I'll probably do the next lot in another video, because this is going to be a very long episode otherwise. If you have any pattern recommendations or ideas of what I can use them for, I'd love to hear, because it's always fun getting other people's input. All right, I'm going to leave that one there and I will pack all this away. Okay, so now we're on to the cotton category. Still commercial, but cotton-based yarns. A lot of it is Bendigo Woolen Mills, 200 gram 8-ply yarns, and basically 2 of everything is what I tend to do because it gives you more options. But we'll start off here. I have some Shapey's Legacy. It's really quite fine and a little bit on the stringy side, so I'm not sure what I'm going to use that for. When I purchased it, I thought that it would be better, but it may end up being like a summer, like better for like Amies, but it's very, very hard on the hands. So it may end up being a summer top, like a camisole. This one was from Millens. I have no idea what it is, but I know it's cotton. It's just plain white. And then these I found, actually this should be in a thrifted, but I found those in a thrift shop. They were from a magazine subscription, I think, but I thought the colours were cute. And then we move on to our Bendigo, or my Bendigo stash of cottons. The reason I have a lot of cottons, two reasons. One, the climate up here lends itself to cotton garments, and 2, I love making amigurumi. You'll see that as the YouTube progresses, that I tend to have an ami on the go. And cotton is my yarn of choice. It has lovely structure, it's nice and firm. When you stuff it, it doesn't move, it keeps its shape. So that's why I have an array of colours in the Bendigo Woolen Mills. It's cost effective and it's beautiful quality. The other favourite of mine for Amies as well as knits is the Shapey's Stonewash and this Spirit yarns. I think they are stunning. And I have a book which is Animal Friends. I can't remember the author, but I'll show you when I do my book tour, that I intend to use most of this yarn for. It wasn't bought with that intention. It was leftovers from when I did a lot of Amies. I used to make them and sell them. But yes, that's my intention, because the called for yarn in the book is this yarn. So I think that will be fantastic for that. And then over here, this one is like a strawberry pinky red. Again, it was a Millens bag. It's definitely cotton. I'd say a 4-ply, and there's quite a bit there, so that will probably become a summer top. This one is not cotton, but I pulled it out anyway because it was another one. It's got cotton in it. It's 50% cotton. It's another one of those chainette construction yarns. I think this one would be very similar to Drops Air. It's a Chaska yarn. I believe you can get them in some Spotlights, but I bought this at a local yarn shop in Hobart. This one's DK weight. Let's have a look. We are talking 42% alpaca, 8% merino, and 50% cotton, and that's not focusing. And it's Pima cotton. But apart from the colours, which I think are glorious, I love a neutral. I fell in love with yarn band, like that's Confessions of a Yarn Buyer, isn't it? Like the yarn band was what pulled me in. So that just goes to show branding, hey? Branding has a big pull, because if you think about it, those yarns are not too dissimilar. But the branding pulled me in. So this is my cotton stash. It's not as terrible as I thought it was. When I first pulled it out, I thought, that's a lot of cotton. I have 400 grams of most of the colors, and they're 485 meters a ball, so 970 meters there in each color, which I think would make lovely camisoles. And I think that I'm going to try and focus on maybe the neutrals will be where I start making some camisoles this year. I found a lot more cotton that I didn't realize I had in another basket, so we're going to go through what else I have. This one I don't even remember purchasing, I'm going to be completely honest, but it looks really lovely. It's 100% cotton. I think it's they call it a mercerized. It's got that shine. It's called Kotopu Organica. And this one was, I'm going to say, purchased at Spotlight. And I have 4 in probably every color that they made. So there's like cream, beige, and some pinks and peaches, and this lovely sage green, which all of a sudden I love and wish I'd bought more of. Also have quite a stash of Flinders cotton. So this is also from Spotlight, which is a big box store. So I, again, left over from my amigurumi making days, quite a bit of that. So I think they'll come in handy for making little clothes for the toys. I also found this. This is called Gelato. It's a 50% cotton, 50 acrylic. Its construction is really nice. It's got a really lovely twist. It feels very soft. I think the acrylic obviously helps soften it up a bit. And I have 7 50-gram balls of that, so that cream might be enough to make a summer top in. And then I have another one which is a different dye lot, and you can actually see the difference, so that one will have to get set aside and maybe be used for I-cord straps or something like that. Also found the same yarn in navy blue that I clearly got thrifting, because that's $1 a ball, and I think these retail around $4 something. So I have some navy, so that combination might work. If I don't have enough of the cream, a navy and cream top would look beautiful, I think. This was my favorite amigurumi bear yarn. Bear making, as in making teddy bear type and animals. It's heathered. I don't know if, yeah, it's heathered, and it's a cotton blend again, 50 acrylic, and 50 cotton, 50 acrylic. But it makes spectacular animals. I don't even know if they still make it. If they do, I'm thinking I might get some more of that, and I think that would also make a lovely summer tea. And then I have this. These were ombre packs. They were gifted to me. There was 4 of, no, not gifted, I thrifted them. There was 4 of them. So they come in packs where you get 1 of each of the brown, but there was 4 packs that I found in a thrift shop that someone had thrown out. There is no information on them as to what they are. I'm gonna assume it's very soft. I'm gonna assume it's a cotton acrylic blend. Or no, I'm going to say bamboo, cotton bamboo blend. That's what it feels like. But there's I obviously grabbed them because they look great together, and I think that would make a nice top as well. And then these ones, I know for a fact that I didn't purchase these ones. These were, well, you can see 55 cents. These were definitely thrifted. I don't tend to buy variegated yarns, but when you see cotton yarns in your thrift store, they make great dishcloths, coasters, like they're always worth grabbing, especially at that price. So I have a few variegateds. And then this one was gifted to me. That one's clearly a different dye lot again. You can see so on camera more so. But I've got 4 of the same dye lot. And this is I don't even know where it's from. The label is in a language that I do not recognize. It almost looks Russian, Estonian, something like that. I don't know, I wouldn't like to guess. It would show my ignorance. But yeah, it was gifted to me from someone in my knit group. I think they bought it online to try it, and I know that it's made from nettles. So even though you can't see what it says, it's 50% cotton. No, it's not nettle. 50% cotton, 50% viscose. So that would make, like it's almost lace weight, I'm going to say. That would make a beautiful summer top. So that one might be on the cards, and I really do like that pink. So that is the last of my cotton stash. My next category is thrifted yarn. So I tend to keep a lookout for vintage thrifted yarn that I can thrift in the op shops. And I've come across some amazing things. So I got this beautiful Cleckheaton's mohair 8-ply the other day. There's 4 skeins of that. It's kind of an olivey colour. It looks a little bit browner on screen, but it's beautiful. I've also got a sweater quantity of this one, which is 100% wool, but it says machine washable, so I'm assuming it's superwash. But that's a black Peyton's yarn. And then this one here is called Embassy, and that is a navy blue crepe. It's a wool blend, 60-40 nylon, 60 wool, 40 nylon. And I think, I'll tell you, it was $1.25 and it was at Coles. And I'm going to say back in the 80s. I also found some Peyton's Fireside. And whenever I see Cleckheaton's Country, I always grab it. So I've got some random skeins of that, which will make beautiful beanies. I just found this one the other day. I've never seen the tweed one before, so I was excited about that. This is another mohair. I have no idea the makeup, but it's definitely got mohair because it made me itch. These ones I found too. They are, I think they're 100% wool. I don't know. It says wool on them, but they're designed to felt. So once you knit them, you wash them, and then they felt up. So I thought they were cute. Again, some more crepe wool. This one's Panda. Some more Peyton's. I found this Patnell for babies, and I also found an older version of it in this brown. I always grab the cream yarns. I think cream's always a good staple to have. I have no idea what this is, but I found a big bag of it, 2 different coloured dye lots. Someone's cut the label, so I couldn't even, I tried to do a reverse search on Chrome, but it didn't bring anything up. But basically it's 100% baby, it's baby wool, but it's so soft, and it's 100% wool 4-ply. It's an Australian one, so if anyone knows what it is, I'd love to know. I have, this one's also got a mohair in it. I have no idea what it is, but it wasn't coming home with me. I found a Drops Air. And then, I have no idea what these are, but these big chunky skein babies of heathered yarn, it's very toothy, but there was no way I was leaving those. I think they cost me $3 each. I also found someone's beautiful hand spun. So that came home. There's 2 different colors there. Like if you put them close together, it was all together. So clearly same person spun it, but two different fibers. And then I found what I can only assume was a sweater that had been pulled out. There's a heap of it. So yeah, I just tidied it all up and caked it up, and I will use that. That will make a beautiful sweater. So yeah, keep your eye out for thrifted yarn. You just never know what you'll find. Quite happy with my little thrifted stash. So moving on to hand-dyed yarns, like I said, I have a real love for self-striping. So I have 6 different yarns here from Half Baked Hand-Dyed. Just seeing if they have names on them. Oh, they do. So this one here is Lucerne, Lucerne, Obsession, Chester, Belvin, the blue one is Vicky, and this one is Vincent. So yeah, they're all from Half Baked Hand-Dyed, and then I have some as well from Cola Girl Collective. So this is Nicole's yarn. And we have got, I don't know if they've got names. Doesn't look like it. They probably do on the website, but I can't see anything as far as names of those. And then this one is from Dizzy Devil Yarn. That's a DK self-striping. And these are a couple of my own, so that I found in my stash. And then I have some DK from Circus Tonic Handmade. I've got a Sonder yarn. Got a beautiful yarn from Lou and Lola that we did a collaboration with. Knit or Dye, Helen, that's a self-striping. This is Cass Skip Rope Yarns, minis. This one is Sarah from Bombed Yarns. That one is called Exterminate. I had to have that one. It's a Doctor Who reference. My mum got me this when she went to New Zealand, so I think it's not a hand-dyed yarn, but it's a pure milled yarn. This is a beautiful milled yarn from the Fibre Shed. And then I picked these up, it's called Mountaintop by Classic, what does it say? By Classic Elite Yarns. So I picked these up, all of those, in a clearance bin at Salamanca Yarn Shop. So they're really beautiful. There's a couple of things here from Knit Picks. This one I'm not sure where it's from, but it's beautiful. And then I've got some browns here from, is it Swoosh Fibre. I've got some Yeah socks from Copper Knits. This one is the Woolen Rabbit. That's a Cascade yarn, but I just popped it in the same thing. And this is Skein yarn and Dingo Dye Works. So some of these, I don't know if they're still dyeing or still selling. I've had them for quite some time. But yeah, so that's my stash of other hand-dyed yarn. And then that is all my own sample seconds, which I'm going to leave for another video, I think, because it's a lot.
No, you don't put that in the... I'm editing this.
I had a parcel come. I've also had a son just come home and thrown me completely. It's weird recording when there's other people in the house. It's weird enough recording when you're on your own. So yeah, I'm very aware that I have no business buying any more yarn, but I did. Instagram advertising and Black Friday sales. Next year I'm going to have a social media blanket over that period because there were so many things that I wanted to buy. And anyway, so we have a parcel, and in this parcel there is, it's from Knit Picks, there is Stroll Tweed. It is 65% merino, 25 nylon, 10 Donegal neps. So I got 6 colors, just 2 of each, 4 socks. So this beautiful beigey color. I feel like he's listening to me. Ash came home. But anyway, it is what it is. And a beautiful brown. This really gorgeous grey. Oh, upside down. And charcoal colour. And then I have definitely have a palette. So this gorgeous dusky pink. And this like icy blue. So those are going to be added to the stash because I'm being truthful with myself as to what I have. Remember, we don't judge. But yeah, I really appreciate you spending this much time with me looking at, I mean, not gonna lie, I love these videos. I love looking at what everyone has in their stash. But I do appreciate the time you spent with me. If you would like to spend more time with me, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm very active over there. I share a lot. I do lives. I share products from the shop. That's where I've built most of the community that I love. But you can also subscribe here, friend me on Ravelry, all the things. All right, take care. I hope you have time for some knitting this week, and I will see you in the next video. Ooh. That is all I have, I think. So yeah, I should probably be ashamed.